Ah, freedom. What could be more American than the idea of freedom? Or who can forget even the famous cry of William Wallace in the movie Braveheart as he's dying his last dying breath, freedom! Yeah, we like freedom, especially here in America. We want to be like, yeah, I'm free. I can do what I want. No one's going to tell me what to do. Well, is that really what freedom is all about? I suppose partly. But in our scriptures, the today and really throughout these last couple of days, we get a little bit different idea of what God might have in mind with freedom. Particularly, one of the scenes that is a reoccurring theme, if you will, in the Acts of the Apostles is, well, the apostles getting thrown in prison. Remember Peter and all the apostles in Jerusalem soon after Pentecost got thrown in prison? Angel comes in the middle of the night, lets them out. Well, today in our reading, we have Paul and Silas. They're out preaching the gospel, and, well, they get thrown in prison. But what is it with these jailbreak miracle stories? Well, with Peter, the angel comes and chains fall off and doors are opened and the apostles are free. And what do? Well, with their new freedom, they go right back to the temple preaching, doing exactly what got them arrested in the first place. All right. Interesting thing. You would think you're free. You can escape now. Normally, if we think of being locked in jail and somehow we get out, we're freed. Well, we've escaped and maybe you're going to get the heck out of there. I grew up in Lansing, Kansas, where the state prison is at and, lived, about a mile away from the prison. I always thought, yeah, it's a safe place. If someone breaks out of prison, they're certainly not going across the street. They're getting out of Dodge. Well, today in our first reading, we see Paul and Silas are in prison. And they do literally the most probably unexpected thing ever with someone who just gets freed from prison. They stay right where they're at. Earthquake comes in the middle of the night, shakes the prison doors wide open, chains fall off. They are free to get the heck out of there. Get away from these people who don't want the gospel and arrested them. But what do? They stay right there as if the doors weren't open, as if the chains never even fell off. They're free, and yet with their freedom, they choose to stay. Why? Well, apparently, as we've been seeing, that's what the Spirit wanted. There are some reasons why God allows certain things, and here it appears that God intended that Paul and Silas would evangelize the jailer. Because when the jailer wakes up and finds that the prison doors are all open, he assumes that everyone's escaped and he's in big trouble and he's ready to kill himself. But Paul says, no, don't hurt yourself. We're all still here. Wow. And because of this, the jailer actually learns about Jesus and converts. God wanted it. Paul used his freedom to do exactly what God wanted, which in this case was stay in jail, even though the doors are open. What do you do with your freedom? Because you are free, especially here in America. Yeah, we have the kind of freedom where we really can kind of do whatever we want and people don't stop us for the most part. But that is not really the freedom God has in mind. Rather, hear this key distinction now. Freedom means the ability not just to do whatever I want, but the ability to do what I ought to do. Freedom to do what God wants me to do. Freedom to be who I'm supposed to be, do what I'm supposed to do. That's real freedom. So for Peter, freedom from jail meant go back to the temple and keep preaching, even though you got arrested for it. For Paul and Silas, it means even though you're free, don't even leave the jail. Stay right there because God has something for you to do. What does God want you to do with your freedom? You have the beautiful freedom of the sons and daughters of God. And that's true whether you're even in prison or persecuted or whatever might be going on exteriorly. You have a freedom to do what you ought to do. So how are we doing with that? Are you following the lead of the Spirit? Are you putting your freedom at the service of the Spirit like Paul and Silas did? You're free. Now, the question today is, what does God want you to do with that freedom? Say yes to that, and God bless you.